All right, let's talk about a book that might just reframe everything you thought you knew about manifestation. Seriously, if you've ever felt like you're doing all the right things, but still coming up empty-handed, then you're gonna want to stick around for this.
Does this feel familiar? You can see the life you want. I mean, it is crystal clear in your mind. But it's like there's this invisible wall there, and you can't break through. It's so close you can almost taste it, but it just stays out of reach.
And this is such a common thing. You get the little wins, right? The perfect parking spot magically appears, or a friend buys you a coffee out of the blue. But the big stuff, the life-altering changes, that dream career, the relationship, that feeling of deep inner peace, they always seem to be just around the corner, but never quite here. It's this super frustrating loop of almost.
So why does this happen? Well, for years, the old school advice has been that you have weak visualizations, or your affirmations aren't good enough, or you've got a low vibration. But this book comes in and says, hang on a second. The real reason isn't some mystical thing. It's actually biological. The core idea here is that manifestation fails when your nervous system, your body's actual alarm system, doesn't feel safe enough to receive the very thing your mind is asking for. This quote from the author, Fristy Sato, just hits the nail on the head. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you're ready to hold. Just let that sink in for a minute. It completely changes the game from just wanting something to having the actual capacity for it. It's not about wanting harder, it's about becoming the person who can actually handle the success you're calling in. And this is the powerful idea at the very heart of the book we're exploring today, The Conscious Manifestation by Fristy Sato. It really positions itself as the key to finally walking through that invisible wall we were just talking about.
So what makes this approach so different, so radical? Well, it's really built on 3 core pillars. First, it's trauma-informed, which means it recognizes that our past experiences actually shape our ability to receive good things now. Second, it's nervous system-based, so it's all about working with your body's wiring instead of fighting against it. And finally, it's identity-first. So instead of just asking, what do I want? The real question becomes, who do I need to become to hold it?
And this quote right here, this is basically the new order of operations. Safety before expansion, regulation before vision boards, embodiment before ambition. It completely flips the whole hustle harder, push through script on its head. The goal isn't to force your way to some outcome, but to create the internal safety that lets success naturally land, and more importantly, lets it stay.
Okay, to make this idea really click, let's dive into a story from the author's own life. It perfectly illustrates this huge disconnect between what we achieve on the outside and how we feel on the inside. So the trigger for her massive realization wasn't some huge business deal gone wrong or a dramatic life event. No, it was a 700 yen scoop of ice cream. That's what, like $5 or $6?
Now you have to understand, at this point in her life, Sato was a highly successful senior executive in Tokyo. She could have bought the entire ice cream shop no problem. But as she stood there, about to buy this little treat, a full-blown panic attack started to set in. As she puts it, on paper I had succeeded, but I didn't have any safety in my own body. Her mind knew she was abundant, but her nervous system was still running an old program, one wired for scarcity from her past.
And this is the absolute key lesson she learned from that whole experience. You can get the thing, but if you don't feel safe, you can't actually enjoy it. It becomes this empty victory. All the success in the world doesn't mean a thing if your body is in a constant state of fight or flight, just waiting for it all to come crashing down.
Okay, so if the problem is a dysregulated nervous system, what's the solution? Well, this is where the book really shines, because it moves beyond just theory and gives you a practical, actionable framework. It's called the Thrive Method.
Thrive is a 3-step process that really works from the inside out. Phase 1 is regulate. This is where you build that foundation of safety in your nervous system. You have to start there. Only from that place of calm can you move to phase 2, rewire. This is where you start to untangle the old subconscious stories and emotional patterns that have kept you stuck. And then finally, phase 3 is redefine. This is where you get to step into that new version of yourself, embodying the leadership and visibility you want, but in a way that feels totally sustainable, not forced. And this brings us to a key concept in the book that I think will hit home for so many high achievers out there. It's called high-functioning dysregulation. This is that state of looking totally successful on the outside. You know, you're hitting your goals, getting the promotions, but on the inside, you're just surviving. It's that deep, gnawing feeling that your worth is completely tied to your productivity, and that if you ever stop producing, it'll all fall apart. So the big takeaway here, The real promise of this book is this. The conscious manifestation is not another guide on how to hustle harder or force things into existence. It's not about adding more to your to-do list. It's about gently and intentionally removing the internal blocks that have been preventing you from receiving what is already trying to find its way to you.
I want to leave you with this final, really powerful quote from the book. It's both a summary and an invitation. Let's stop chasing. Let's start arriving. It points to this profound shift, right? A shift from a state of frantic searching to one of calm, embodied presence. And maybe, just maybe, that shift is the real manifestation we've all been looking for.